The ANC has been ordered by the Constitutional Court to hand over its cadre deployment records to the DA within 5 days. That deadline ends on Friday, and the documents go back as far as January 2013, when President Cyril Ramaphosa became chairperson of that committee. Cadre deployment, which is part of official ANC policy, is applied at a national, provincial and local level. Let's get you some analysis on not only that issue, which was our breaking news story just yesterday, but also, of course, the State of the Nation address debate, which is unfolding in Parliament. In fact, as soon as it resumes around 1:30, we will take you back to the House live. For now, political analyst Sandile Swana joins us for some analysis on various issues. Sandile, feeding into the political climate in the country at the moment. Shall we begin with what was the big story yesterday? And you'll tell me, was it a big story? Is it a big development? And is it a big victory for the DA that the Constitutional Court has decided in this way?
I think it is a big victory for the DA and for the nation of South Africa, because I think that the topic of cadre deployment is seriously misunderstood, more especially by the people that it hurts most, which is the black majority in South Africa. So, because to be sincere, cadre deployment is a form of job reservation. Mm-hmm. So if, for instance, I'm a member of the Pan-Africanist Congress or AZAPO, I will not be appointed by the ANC into critical strategic positions. So it has excluded a lot of highly capable black people from positions of responsibility in the state.
Yeah, it ensures job reservation. It also ensures loyalty. If I'm appointed on the basis of loyalty, it stands to reason that I'll be answerable to certain people in power.
Yes, which means that decisions are not made on the basis of evidence and application of relevant and pertinent professional skills relevant to that decision. But if my boss, who knows nothing about my job, let's say I'm the DG of higher education, and my boss is Comrade so-and-so through the deployment committee, they've put me there. They just give you what they call a line of march or a mandate that do this, regardless of what it is going to do to the youth of South Africa or to the population in general. And you obey that because it's patronage. You are a serf, you are a peasant who is working under this particular puppet.
And it's something that Gwede Mantashe, the ANC's Gwede Mantashe, who was just at the podium earlier this morning during the SONA debate, says the ANC will continue with unashamedly. I'm just trying to find some of the notes that I made insofar as his comments are concerned. But essentially, he says, you know, we are still trying to overcome the legacy of apartheid. Cadre deployment is something that is part of the ANC's policy. Yes, I think what he was saying is that, you know, before 1994, all of the judges, all of the mayors, all of the leaders in the country would have been white males. And since cadre deployment, that has all changed. What do you make of that?
So there are other untruths here. The first one is that everybody who gets a position in the state, it must only be done through the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, which means every South African of capability. We don't all have to join any specific political party. Even those who don't join any party but are competent must get jobs, including senior jobs, including becoming DGs. So that is a mistake. Number two, bear in mind that some of the most competent judges, black judges in South Africa, like Mokwe and many others, Madanga and many others, they went to places like the University of Transkei. They served in the Republic of Transkei, some in Ciskei, some in Swana. There were black judges here during apartheid. The only thing that is there in the new South Africa is that every position in every geographic area of South Africa must be allocated according to the Constitution, and not according to a meeting of the cadres in a cadre deployment committee. It must be done according to the Constitution and according to the terms of reference given by the Public Service Commission and other such people who are in charge of the HR practices of the state.
Right. I mean, it's something that many ANC MPs have taken to the podium to say will continue despite, quote-unquote, the DA running to the country's courts. They say they will continue, this is according to Gwede Mantashe, deploying capable people. Of course, the story of our SOEs tells a very different narrative.
Yes, there are 2 points there. The first point is that, fortunately, in 2024, the ANC of Ramaphosa is going to lose the election. It's not going to have the majority. So they are not going to steamroll things like they steamroll the Pala inquiry and scandalizing Judge Sandile and his team. Those days are over. The days of the ANC ruling until Jesus comes back and majoritarianism, those days are over. So the only thing that is now left relative to this issue of cadre deployment or not cadre deployment, we must remember that as we speak, people such as Professor Somato Dafikeni are already working, and have been working for a long time, on the professionalization of the public service and so on and so forth. So decisions of this nation are not going to be made in Luthuli House anymore.
Plenty of laughter in the House, Sandile, Swana. I'm not sure if you watched the first part of the SONA debate that started this morning up until around, I believe it was 12:30. I don't know about you, but it's sort of counterintuitive, isn't it? I imagine the people who are at home watching, and perhaps they are at home watching for the very fact that they actually are part of that large percentage of the country that can't find employment in the country, they must find that quite annoying.
Yes, the SONA speech, especially this one, is actually irrelevant. And the message of the ANC, and we need to be clear about this, the message of the ANC to the voting majority, the 92% of the population, is when you don't have a job, it's when your children can't get jobs, it's when the electricity goes off. It's not any speech that is made in Parliament, or even a speech that is made during the door-to-door campaign. That is why as soon as the GDP performance of the ANC and service delivery performance started declining, from 2009, the ANC started losing votes and has been losing votes consistently. They lost the metros in 2016. They got an overall rating of 45% in the 2021 elections. And they are going to go below 50% in 2024, not because of fancy speeches that they are making or any eloquent debate in Parliament, but because of the objective material conditions that the people of South Africa on the ground are experiencing in Umlazi, in Mankweng, in Thohoyandou. That is where the decisions are being made, and that is where they are going to be impacted.
I wonder what you make of the EFF being a no-show, not only at the State of the Nation address itself, but also at the debates. The entire party being a no-show, its members of Parliament, despite only 6 of them, including Julius Malema, being barred for the month of February. This is a party who, yesterday I spoke to Mzwanele Mani, who says that come elections 2024, they will be the governing party with 50+1%.
The question now is that in the next 8 months, there's nothing that the ANC can do that they have not been able to do in the past 30 years, more especially in the past 5 years, to turn around the lives of ordinary South Africans. To go and sit in Parliament and listen to incompetent and corrupt non-performers is a waste of time. Other than the fact that you would have had a duty, but that duty has been undermined by the fact that through majoritarianism and other mechanisms, including the alignment with the white liberals, who want politics to be conducted in their own Western decorum, in their own Western culture, then what is the point of participating in people who are losing power and participating in that process? That process is closed. We can talk after the elections. Let's talk after the elections.
The legacy of apartheid continues to be a big issue, well, in the SONA debate at least. I heard Sylvia Lucas talk about the legacy of apartheid. Lindiwe Zulu emphasized, let's not forget what we have inherited when we came into office in 1994. I think Gwede Mantashe also made comments to the same vein. How much should this feature in the discussions like this, the issue of apartheid, as much as it looms large in all of our lives, Sandile, Swana. I mean, Zamani Saul also penned earlier this month, or earlier last month, I should say, an interesting article about how China said it would take them 100 years to moderately eradicate the social and economic impact of their so-called century of shame. After 150 years in the US, the impact of slavery still looms large. We're talking here in South Africa 30 years post-apartheid. What are your thoughts?
I think that issue has been addressed, and one of the most eminent intellectuals to address that issue is Padile Hutla, the former statistician general. The ANC of Thabo Mbeki, up to that Polokwane conference, or in fact there was a carry-on until 2011, according to Padile Hutla, in terms of the actual statistics of the country. Because the backlogs created by apartheid were so huge, it was difficult to miss the target. It was like shooting an elephant. So they were using resources at their disposal to address the clear, undisputed backlogs. And they were making a great success. I mean, our GDP growth rate went up to about 5.4%, and it was improving. And people took that for granted when they went to Polokwane, that no matter who you put in power, no matter how you run the state, you will still continue to make improvements. And that was not true. And they did that at a time when the very group, Thabo Mbeki, Padile Hutla, and others were in the state at the time, had realized that actually now the shotgun approach of just hitting widely is not going to work. We now need a rifle-type, accurate targeting problems so that we can accelerate the progress some more. So the backlog of apartheid, including the so-called, credit rating that had collapsed because of P.W. Botha in 1985, the junk status, they were able to recover from that. And had we stayed on track, we wouldn't be talking this story. They have said themselves that from 2011, there were reversals. So clearly there was progress up until 2011, and then there was accelerated retrogression, erasing any progress. So the legacy of apartheid can be defeated within 30 years. And that 30 years was from 1994 to 2024. And that period was now wasted, 30 years of wasted. And the leader of that wasted time is Cyril Ramaphosa and Jacob Zuma. Not apartheid. Apartheid is irrelevant to the discussion. The repetition and replication and reproduction of apartheid was driven by those two fellows, Ramaphosa and Zuma. Otherwise, the tools for eradicating the effects of apartheid on the black population were already in hand.
Sandile Swana, strong words there. Thanks very much as always for weighing in. Sandile Swana is a political analyst weighing in on a whole range of issues, including that breaking news story, the ANC now having to hand over its cadre deployment record as far back as 2013 to the DA. That's by Friday.